Welcome to the Power of Your Voice podcast with your host, Johnny Gorky. You have the power to overcome challenges and fears. Let my voice and the voice of many others show you how to transform these challenges into opportunities. To learn more about future podcasts and read episode show notes, check out my website at www.thepowerofyourvoice.com.
Welcome back to the Power of Your Voice podcast. This is episode 54, part 2 with Nathen Aaren. If you haven't already listened to part 1, I definitely recommend you listen to the first part. But if you already have, thanks for listening, and let's get started with part 2.
Well, like when you started off, you had this great idea. You had this epiphany. Now, did you have some kind of mentors? Was it books? Was there videos? There was something that kind of really put you into where you are right now. How'd you get that whole mindset?
Yeah. So my very first experience with personal development was Wayne Dyer on a public broadcasting, and that really shifted everything for me. But my first personal mentor was kind of funny because while I was still in the music industry, I thought, I had that mentality of someone else is going to save me and help me out. And there's a fine line, right? Because on one hand, you do need the mentors. You need the digital mentors so that you can educate yourself, but you also need the real mentors so that you can have those reference experiences that we talked about. So my first mentor, her name is Violet Brown. She was in the music industry. She helped Dr. Dre get his first record deal, Ice Cube, Will.i.am, all these people. And what I did was I found out who she was. And you know what? Just like you said, I usually don't tell this part of the story, but you said it. Sometimes you don't act on these little thoughts. You're brushing your teeth. You're doing this thing and you have this idea. I was on the phone with one of my music clients and he mentioned her name and I was laying down and I thought I should probably write that name down on my whiteboard across the room. But then I kept listening and I thought, nah, it's not that important. I won't write it down. And it just kept coming up in my head like, you should write that name down. No, I don't need to write that name down. I'm just relaxing. I'm just talking to my client. And finally I was like, you know what? Get up. And so I counted down. I was like, 3, 2, 1, stand up. I stood up and I said, hey man, what was the name of that woman that you said? Okay, Violet Brown. Okay, how do you spell that? Just like the colors? Okay, cool. And I wrote it down on my whiteboard. And then afterwards I researched her. And on her bio on social media, it said, I love a good practical joke. And so what I did is my buddy and I found a way to get a hold of her on social media, reached out and I said, can I send a package to you? I want to send you a package with some of my music. So we took some of my best music, put it in envelope that was printed really well, got it printed like down the street at the store. And then we put it in a little box. The box was maybe about the size of a CD. And then we put that box in a box that could hold maybe a basketball. And then we put that box in a box that could hold maybe a car engine. So this giant box inside a smaller box, inside a smaller box. And on the top of each...
Like the Russian dolls.
Yeah. And then on the top of each box, we put a quote. And the one quote was like, if you dig deep enough, you'll always find something interesting. And then you open that box. And then the next box was never give up, Winston Churchill. And then the very last quote at the bottom was her quote, which was, I love a good practical joke, Violet Brown. So I could just imagine, she walks up to her beautiful Long Beach, beachfront property and looks down and sees this enormous box thinking, what is a body in here? What's in here, right? And she, opens it up and there's another box and opens it up and there's another box and opens it up and there's another box. And inside is, this beautiful printed out presentation with some music in it. And, a week goes by, 2 weeks go by, 3 weeks go by. And she reaches out to me and writes me this email that I still have printed and hanging on my wall in my studio. And it was just, it really struck me where she just said, not only are you, extremely talented musically, but the way that you have, approached the situation, I've had hundreds and hundreds of people reach out to me asking me to listen to their music. And you actually, I don't manage people, but I'm going to manage you, and you're the only music producer that I'm going to manage. And that ended up becoming an amazingly fruitful relationship, all because my buddy and I came up with a really creative, unique way to reach out to this person. And it ended up being an amazing, beautiful relationship between the two of us.
And it shows that you care.
Totally. Yeah. So the mentorship between her and I mean, really, she taught me a lot about the music industry. And as crazy as it might sound, is one of the best pieces of advice that she gave me was to leave the music industry. You know, she told me, Nate, you're a very kind person, but we'll take advantage of people that have hearts like you and that are always trying to, you know, do what's best. And it's not that the whole music industry is bad. And it's not that you can't be successful in that industry, because you can. And you can do it in a way where you still take care of yourself and have self-love and all that. But you have to build your own team, and you have to build your own network and do things as from a place of abundance, not a place of scarcity, by building a business, not doing what I said earlier, which is trying to, hope that somebody else saves your life, like a damsel in distress, and makes you famous. Right. And so that goes for anyone, like all these YouTuber kids that I see, they think, oh, like, who is it that's going to help me become famous? And really, it's just like everything else. Find something that you love to do every single day, and slowly but surely nerd out on it, and, read all the blogs and check out all the different places that you can educate yourself online, and then find that mentor, find that person who's already done what you want to do, and ask them for advice. And that's the big differentiation for me. Don't ask them to do it for you. Don't ask them to make you famous. Just ask them for advice. Add value to them. Find ways that you can add value to their lives. And maybe that value is just them going, wow, I wish that I had someone like me when I was their age. And people love that. And I think that that is a big thing that people fail to realize, is how easy it is to reach out to people online who are in really high positions. People are super reachable these days, and all it takes is a little bit of tenacity and a little bit of heart, and really considering the other person's situation. Like, the fact that, that you're interviewing me right now, I have to think there are human beings that are listening to this, that are taking their time, and I have to respect their time in making sure that I'm like really thinking about what I'm saying and helping them, and just asking, how can I really, really benefit Johnny's audience? And then I have to think about you, like, you're taking your time away from your kids to spend time with me and allow me to share my message with your audience. And if I don't really feel into that, then how can I expect to, do anything meaningful in this world? And so if anyone's looking for a mentor, then please remember that these are human beings that are very busy, that have been through a lot, that have their own challenges, through whether it's every single episode of, your podcast. Everyone has their own story. You have to remember that the person you're reaching out to has their own story, and to get curious, find ways to add value, share your heart, be a good person, and have that enthusiasm, bring something of value. And if you don't think you have anything of value, then ask the people around you, or use your own enthusiasm, or get good at complimenting people and like hearing people, listening to people, being there for people. There's so many things that you can do. And when you really start thinking about the moments in life where you've really made a difference in people's lives, or the moments where you've had someone else make a difference in your life, then you'll start to get more awareness of what the real golden nuggets of your personality and of your soul are. And then you can share those with people who you might think, why would they want to listen to me? Why would they give me the time of day? And go from there.
Adding value, that's the big thing. Because of course, this is something I thought about. It's like, imagine you're listening to this podcast, you're like 15, 20, it could be 30, 40, it doesn't really matter. You're looking at this person, there's this person I greatly admire. They have cars, they have books, they have every possible thing. Like, they have $100 million in a bank account. They could buy anything. I'm nobody. What kind of value can I add to this person, a person who has everything? Can you speak into that a little bit for somebody who's like, I would love to get their input, want to be able to add some kind of value to this person, but I don't know what kind of value you can add.
Yeah. I would say that meditation and journaling while taking massive action is huge. The more you get to know yourself, I give myself a hug every morning, and I say, I love you out loud. And I feel like by journaling and meditating, I've meditated for over 1,000 days straight, and not because I wanted to, but because I had to, because I was overcoming some massive anxiety issues. But I got to the point where I started realizing that if I could just find reasons to become obsessed with learning about myself by journaling, by meditating, by creating mantras, by, just seeing what other people are doing and finding what really made me special. Like I said before, the golden nuggets of who you are. And then at the same time, taking massive action, which could be just trying new things and feeling into what you like and just going out there in the world and asking people questions. I have a form online that I give to people where they can fill out things, feedback, constructive criticism about me, and not put their name there. So if anyone ever has an issue with me or doesn't like the way I handled something, they can go to that link and they can type it in, and I'll never know who it was. And I think that the more we allow ourselves to really get to know ourselves and know what our strengths are and what our weaknesses are, and be super honest with ourselves and just really love on ourselves, but also be hard on ourselves sometimes too, then we can have an immense amount of clarity of who we are. And then at the same time, taking that massive action, what's that going to do? It's going to put us in positions where we're like, okay, so I tried this thing and I noticed that I wanted to give up really quick. Or I tried this thing and I immediately was saying negative things in my head. A lot of us, we don't even realize we're doing that. But if we start really getting cognizant and aware of what we're doing and what we're good at, what we're not good at naturally, we can start to transform that. We can start to have more awareness and get to the point where we have this immense amount of understanding of who we are, what we're doing. And then those reference experiences are just going to be catalysts to having these great stories. And then we start to build on our confidence. And when we build on our confidence, then we go, okay, cool. I'm looking at this person, maybe on social media. They have millions of dollars. They have, books out. They have, movies out, whatever it is. And maybe the truth is that they are happy. Maybe they're not happy. But because I've done my research, because I've read books, because I know there are people who have millions of dollars and they're famous and then they commit suicide, unfortunately, that's not what it's about. Money can help. Fame can help. All that stuff can help. Being super healthy, sure, can help. But everyone's going through a struggle. And the more we know that, the more we listen to other people's stories, like podcasts like this, the more we become aware that every single person has a struggle. And it's all about just mastering your emotions and you're directing your consciousness and your awareness toward what you want. That's why I have a mantra. Every single morning, I say my mantra. It says, look what happened this year by following my intuition. My angels guide me, clear the path. I am now surfing on a wave of magic, momentum, comfort, fun, vitality, and connection into my dream reality. And the reason I use that specific mantra is because it directs me toward the feelings that I want regardless of what's going on. Because if I were to say, I'm going to be happy every day, and then someone in my life passes away, I'm not going to be happy that day. But if I say, I'm now surfing on a wave of magic, momentum, comfort, fun, vitality, and connection into my dream reality, then I might go, okay, today I'm going to focus on connection because I'm very sad and because things are tough. Or maybe I'm looking at that person online who is doing really well. And trust me, I still have these. I call them artist breakdowns or like artist freakouts where you're like, oh my God, like I've been working so hard, but so-and-so is doing so much more. Like, why am I not where they're at? And you're freaking out. But then I have to remind myself, okay, go back to my mantra, go back to my meditation practice, go back to my journaling, go back to my self-talk, go back to my self-love, give myself a hug, tell myself I love myself, talk myself up, remind myself of how good I'm doing, motivate myself, do what I have to do. These tools in our tool belt that we carry around in life are what is going to make or break us in the toughest moments. So I feel like we have to have those tools. And meditation is a great place to start because when you meditate, you get an opportunity to really understand yourself. What I do is a pre-meditation, a meditation, and then a post-meditation. In the pre-meditation, what I do is I kneel down with some yoga blocks under me and have a little piece of paper, and I just allow all the thoughts in my mind to just go out on a piece of paper. It's like anything that's in my mind, I put it on paper. Then once my mind is clear, I do my meditation, which is just clearing my mind for 30 minutes and allowing myself to just be with no thoughts. And then afterwards, I do my mantra. And so again, the tools that we give ourselves, that we build into our lives, are what is going to keep us from freaking out when we see someone who's more successful than us, or when we're having a really bad day or something challenging happens, is something to lean on. Just like a really good friend. You have a really good friend you can lean on, you can call on when you're having a bad day, that's going to push you and remind you to eat healthy and to work out when you don't want to work out, or focus on your goal when you don't want to do that, and hold you accountable. You can do that with yourself. And I think, just like you said, no one is going to not believe in us more than ourselves. So we have to master ourselves so that we can be our number one cheerleader as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I was thinking, so you wake up, you do your mantra, you do your meditation. What are some other things? So for somebody who might be listening and watching this and they're like, man, Nathen, he sure has everything together. Like, what are your daily habits and that kind of thing every day?
Yeah. Thank you. Well, first of all, I definitely don't have it all together. I am very obsessed with figuring that out. But one of the biggest things for me truly is connecting with human beings, connecting with people. And trust me, I have been in the place where I'm like, I don't have any friends that I'm close with right now. Maybe you have one or two friends that live in another state if you moved. Maybe there's no one around. And so you think, great, thanks, Nathen, appreciate it, but I don't have any friends. So you just made me feel worse. But the thing is, we can reach out. We can go, take $5 and, go give it to someone. We can, give people compliments. We can say nice things. We can send nice messages to people that we care about. One thing that I love to do is find super unique compliments to give people that if you were to give it to someone else, they look at you funny, right? Because it's not for them. It's something so unique to that person that they say, wow, that was for me. And so for me, I try to do that every day. I don't do it every day, not perfect. The only real thing that I've done consistently is, for some reason, I've stuck with meditation. What I do is I do 364 days a year. I purposefully give myself one day off. And I've done that for 3 years. And like I said, I do that because it was kind of like something that I had to do to survive, because of the high level of anxiety that I was having was scaring me. And I thought I was going to, get hurt if I didn't focus on my meditation. So what I do basically is I wake up in the morning, I hug myself, I say, I love you. I talk myself up, take a cold shower. And after the cold shower, I, just do my meditation, do a little journaling. And that's really it. I keep it simple because I feel like I have this concept, and I say, if you want to run a marathon, run to the mailbox. And what I mean by that is just start by putting on your running clothes, run to the mailbox, run back in the house, and then call it a day. That's it. But then do that tomorrow. Run to the mailbox and then come back. And the third day, run to the mailbox. One of these days, you're going to be like, you know what? I'm already in my running outfit. Why don't I run it to the end of the block? And the next thing you know, you're running a mile, and then you're running 2 miles, and then you're running 26 miles. When people say, oh, what's your daily routine and all that, and then someone gives this laundry list of 50 things they do, that's great. But when it comes to something that's really tangible and that's really digestible, I think it's just like, do one thing for yourself that you can do every single day, that you're not going to skip out on. And if you have issues with, a daily routine, what I like to do is I have this really fun accountability system that I do with my friends, where I say, hey, I'm trying to build a habit. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to take a picture of myself doing it every day and send it to you. And if I miss a day, I owe you $50 or I owe you $100. And I do it with people that aren't going to say, oh, don't worry about it, it's okay. People that are going to say, nope, send the money. Come on, give it up. And it really works. I'm doing it with my buddy right now. He's writing a book. And, he's like, hey, man, I have this goal, this deadline of writing this life-changing book about saving the planet. And he's been procrastinating. He said, I'm going to pay you, this much money if I don't write for 30 minutes every day at least. And so basically I get $30 every day that he doesn't write for 30 minutes, and he's got to do that for 30 days. And then after the 30 days is over, he's going to go on a retreat. He's going to rent an Airbnb, and he's going to go on a 7-day writing retreat and go from there. So he'll have the momentum and then move forward. So one is, what do I do? But also, how can we stick to those things? Because so many times in my life, I've said, I'm going to do X. And then I stop, and then I feel bad. And then I get down on myself, and then I create these stories in my mind of why I shouldn't try again. And, that's the struggle that we all have.
Definitely. Now, one thing I was going to say too, for a lot of people who are listening, not everybody hangs around with the right people. What type of people do you hang out with, and why do you think it's so incredibly important to be careful who you hang out with?
Yeah, that goes to the core of the mistakes that I made in my 20s. I was around a lot of criminals. I was around a lot of drug dealers. I was around, just bad, I can't even say bad people that were raised with challenges that didn't know how to overcome them. And only recently have I really done the work to get over all of the regret that I have for, I woke up, Johnny, 7 days a week from age 16 to 26. I worked 7 days a week as hard as I could from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to bed, and was super unsuccessful. I was unhealthy. I was, broke. I was unhappy. And I thought, how is it that I worked 10 years nonstop and basically wasted my 20s and didn't become successful? And a huge part of that was I was surrounded by the wrong mentality, the wrong people, the wrong ideas. And even though I was working towards success, it was in the wrong construct, the wrong frame. And even though being around the right people wasn't the thing that gave me that big shift, that was like an internal thing, that was intuition, that was something higher. When I started doing that, then I started hanging around the right people. And so right now, 3 out of the 6 people that I spend the most time with make at least 10 times more than I do. They're in the $1 million plus level. 2 out of the 6 of those people have what I would consider the perfect life, like truly deeply happy, giving back, making a difference. And then, 5 out of those 6 people that I spend the most time with have the majority of those traits. Maybe they don't have the money thing figured out, but they have the spiritual stuff figured out, or, but we're all on that journey. And so the people that I'm spending my time with right now, that I spend the most time with, are people that I look up to, but also I have people that I mentor and that I work with, that I help, who are, quote unquote, trying to get to where I am. Of course, like I said earlier, we all try to put things in a box, A, B, black, white, up, down, left, right. And it's not that simple. We're all going through challenges. Everybody's still going through something. So nobody's above anyone else. But sometimes I want to learn something from you that you're 10 steps ahead of me. And then you want to learn something from me that I'm 10 steps ahead of you. And so I think it's important to be teaching others, mentoring others, coaching others, helping others, and then to be taught by others, be coached by others, be mentored by others, and then have peers. My peers, honestly, that's one of the most rewarding things, is having a group of, a mastermind basically of people who are, at my level, who have a decent sized, audience, who are making moves, who are doing big things, and who, maybe are in different industries, but working with people who are on a higher level as well. And it's just so nice to be able to have that. So if anyone listening doesn't have that and wants that, what I would challenge you to do is get out a sheet of paper, maybe get some crayons, some color, make it fun, make a little art project, and write 3 boxes. Have 3 boxes. On the top box, you have your mentors, your people that you look up to. In the middle box, have your peers. And in the bottom box, have the people that you are teaching, the people that you're mentoring, the people that you're helping. And then draw a line down the middle. And on the left, put your digital mentors, your digital peers, and your digital people that you're helping. And on the right, put the people that you want to be the people in your real life that are your mentors, that are your peers, and that are people that you want to help. And then from there, if it's just question marks, it's question marks. That's fine. But ask for it. Remember, shout it from the rooftops. Tell every single person I'm looking for, a kid to help. Who's that kid? What are they? Are they, a foster kid? Is it, someone who wants to do something that you're good at? Maybe you're like, well, what am I even good at yet? Then just say to yourself, how can I help someone who's going through what I'm going through? I have a friend named Maria. Maria has this dream of helping young girls who have been through really traumatizing childhoods. She said for years, Nathen, I want to do this, but I'm not ready because I need to figure myself out first before I can help anyone else. And though there is some validity to that, I've always told her, just help someone and listen. All you have to do is listen. So now she has a young girl that she helps, and all she does is listen and ask good questions and guide her. And so if we can just find someone, or, just envision the characteristics of someone that we want to help, envision the characteristics and write it in that box of who we want our peers to be, and envision who we want our mentors to be, then we can move from there. And the last thing I'll say about that is I also like to take my digital mentors, people that I've never met, and people that I do know, and take characteristics of theirs and put it into my own, like integrate those into my own. So I might say, I want to do a business model of this entrepreneur, and I want to have the heart of this motivational speaker, and I want to have the charisma of this actor, and I want to have the creativity of this person. And so one person, for example, that I look up to is Jim Carrey. I look at Jim Carrey and I say, that person has so much like open creativity that I just always look to that person when I want to do something creative. And I say, what would I do if I were Jim? Or maybe I would say, there's a thing that a big motivational speaker said maybe 5-10 years ago on an old video that I saw, where he says, I have been on national television every day for the past 20 years. And the outcome of that is that I cannot walk into public without someone emotionally telling me how much I've positively changed their life. And so
Is that Tony?
That's Tony. Yep. And so I take that one and I integrate that as well. I say, I want to be able to be in a position where I've helped so many people that when I walk out into public, that people emotionally come up to me and say, thank you for what you've done for me.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably the most powerful. I can only imagine. Yeah, he could be in the elevator and somebody just bawling if they see him.
Totally.
One thing, I was listening to Dan Locke. I'm sure you probably know who he is. And it's incredible, like how he was saying, I mean, he's a very successful guy. And what he was saying is, you want to look at the group of people you surround yourself, and you literally want to be at the bottom. Now, some people, they want to be at the top, but he's like, some of the people he hangs out with, he's at like the bottom 1%, which is just like, how can be a guy who probably makes, I don't know how much, but probably, let's say $100 million a year, be at the very bottom, but that's by being at the bottom. So you always hang out amazing, incredible people who you want to strive to be. It's like you constantly always trying to get to the next level. And like he was saying yesterday, the podcast I was listening to, he's like, I'm at only 1% of where I want to be now. I'm like, that is very powerful. 1%.
Yeah.
I'm like, dang. It's so incredibly important to surround yourself with the right people. I mean, that will really change your life. Just like you were saying in your past, hang out with people who are doing drugs, gangbang, all this kind of stuff. I mean, I used to hang out with the same people like that. And I look at myself, I was like always at the top.
Yeah.
Some of the people would start to steal my clothes. They would steal my stuff. And afterwards, it's like, why am I hanging out with people like this? It's not who you want to associate with. Because, I mean, all it's going to do is put you in a path of where you don't want to be. And, I look back at my past. It's like some of those people are no longer alive.
Mm-hmm.
You have to hang out with the people that are going to motivate you, inspire you, people who want you to become better, be the best self that you can be.
Yeah, and I really resonate with what Dan Locke said. And one thing that I pray that if you're listening to this, please integrate what I'm about to say. It is so important for you to be at 1% of where you want to be, while simultaneously deeply and passionately enjoying every moment of you getting there. Because I've listened to people say that before too. I'm at 1% of where I want to be. And I've been like, me too, this sucks. Life sucks. I'm stressing. I'm depressed. I'm hurt. I'm, anxious. I'm not where I want to be. I'm freaking out. But it's like, I need to learn how to be just incredibly passionate and deeply appreciative of every single moment. And so sometimes I wake up in the morning and I look around and I look at my hands and I'm like, how am I even here? Right? Like Gary Vaynerchuk said once, he said, you could have been born a rock, which is obviously not true, but you could be born a tree. You could have been born, a cockroach. You were born a human. And let alone that, you could have not even been born. Like the likelihood of you being born, of your parents having met and their parents having met and their grandparents having met, all at the right time. And here you are, you're a miracle. It's amazing that you even exist. So yes, have that super high standard for ourselves, but at the same time, it's like master the art of our emotions. It's like life is a dance, and it's going to be a clunky ride if we don't learn how to dance. But if we learn how to dance, it can be one of the most beautiful experiences ever. And none of us know what happens after we, die, after this life is over. So we got to just give it our all and just really treat it like a poetic journey and just feel into the creativity of every moment and have that childlike curiosity and have those moments where you have goosebumps raising up your neck and, smile until your cheeks are sore, laugh until your stomach hurts. Like those are the moments that matter. But even in the moments that are challenging, if we can somehow master this physiological, psychological dance between our mind and our bodies and just find ways to surge positive, good, cozy energy throughout our bodies as we're experiencing the challenge, that's when the challenge really happens. I think of Rudy Giuliani, regardless of what you think about him politically, during 9/11, after 9/11, he said, one thing that I learned as I watched the people around me during 9/11 is the best leaders got unusually calm during chaos. And I love that quote. It's like they get unusually calm. And I said, I want that. I want to be unusually calm. There's another thing. You won't believe me, I was in Hawaii on vacation stressing. How's that possible, right? But I was in Hawaii on vacation stressing like crazy because I wasn't where I wanted to be in life. And I overheard my friend who was hanging out with her father. And they were watching a football game. And it was a really important game. And I just heard them downstairs yelling and screaming, all excited. And what I heard the dad say was, how is it that there's less than 30 seconds left in the game and the team is down and the quarterback is telling jokes, laughing and smiling to his team? 30 seconds left, you're down. If you lose the game, you're out. And you're laughing, joking, and having fun with your team. I remember that one too. It's like the Rudy Giuliani quote. It's like, okay, unusually calm during chaos. And then with this guy, wow, just laughing, enjoying the process during the most challenging time possible when everything matters, you're having fun. And I thought, I want to be that. And so when it comes to these, digital mentors or people you're around, even if you don't have anyone around you, you're like, oh, great. I'm around a bunch of really negative people too. Maybe I live with my family and, they're super negative and they're always bringing me down and I can't leave right now. Or maybe you're in an abusive relationship. It's like, but you still can take that time to remove yourself from the situation, walk around the block, listen to something, put your headphones on and find those moments, right? Because like you always say, Johnny, you can listen to a million podcasts, but if you don't implement something, nothing changes in your life. And so what I challenge people to do is every single time they pick up a book, every single time they listen to a podcast, before you start, tell yourself, say your name. So I'd say like, Nathan, I'm going to listen to this and I'm going to find one thing that I'm going to actually implement and I'm going to do it. And more than just implementing the things, it's over time having like a mastered list, whether it be on your phone or in your head, of things that you really hold on to and you say, that's who I am. I'm going to integrate that with myself. And so I integrated that and I said, I'm going to learn as a person who is, has high nerves, who is always kind of like a little too like jittery and always just has too much energy. I have a surplus of energy, which is a great thing, but it's also a bad thing. I say to myself, I'm going to learn how to laugh and enjoy the process and truly be happy and feel the joy in the most challenging moments of my life. And so if you can listen to podcasts and find one thing, if you can read books and find one thing, you can find digital mentors or real life mentors and find those things that you're like, I'm going to integrate that into my life for the rest of my life. That can be a big game changer.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible to enjoy the journey because a lot of times people don't even, they're going through life and they're doing pretty well, but they're not even enjoying those different processes. Well, one thing I wanted to ask you too, though, is like if you would go back, let's say your 20s, would you do anything different? And also, this is kind of like a double question. Right now, like if you literally lost every single thing and you had to restart everything all over again, would you do things different? How would you do that?
Yeah. Wow. That's a tough one because I think I would do things differently. And that's an unpopular answer to that question. I think most people say, I wouldn't change a thing because I learned what I learned. But the truth is, if I'm going to be super transparent with myself, is there was a lot of time wasted. That being said, because I can't change it, I have to retell those stories. So I have a partner, love of my life, who helped me really get clear on how I could retell my story. What would I do differently? Since we're on the topic though, I think that I studied a lot and I read a lot of books and I did all those things. But I think what I would have done is I would have reached out to more people and asked for more help with things relating to mentorship. I was at the top in a lot of the things I did, and the people who were above me, because I did have those mentors like my manager, Violet, I wasn't close enough with them because I was afraid that I was wasting their time. And so though I had mentors who were doing big, big, big things, I would only talk to them when I had to, instead of really befriending them and opening up to them and telling them the struggles that I was going through. And that may take time. You don't want to just like open up to someone, hey, can you mentor me? Oh, here's my whole life and all my challenges. Can you help? But more just if I could have opened up a little more and told people what I was going through, then that could have been a big shift. That being said, I also think that a lot of it has to do with timing, and I am doing the work to not regret all that time that I used to call and consider wasted. So, in a lot of it, what it comes down to is like, yes, if I could go back as me today and talk to teenage Nathan, I would probably give myself some advice, but looking back, I don't regret it. It's a beautiful story. I have a reality show coming out, 17 episodes already shot, being edited right now, called Chasing My Dreams. And it would be a very, very boring series if I just, reached success quickly and didn't learn all these beautiful skills and traits and experiences. It's not as fun. It's not as interesting. It's not as exciting. It's like, that's the human journey, right? Just, going through challenges, figuring things out, and expanding and growing and learning and expanding our souls. So, yeah.
Oh, exactly. The whole process. Yeah. Well, honestly, I could talk to you for a good 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. This has been a wonderful conversation, but I did want to ask you one more thing. Well, what are like at least 3 very powerful things that you would love for people to take away from this episode?
Yeah. 3 things that I would like for people to take away from this episode. 1 is learn to ask great questions. Okay. And that's not something that we covered, but it really, if you think about it, this entire conversation, all the golden nuggets that came out of it were from you asking great questions. And so if we can ask ourselves great questions, always looking for the solution, that's when opportunities can really come up, right? It's like, okay, I'm in a situation, whatever that negative situation is, what question can I ask to get to the right place? Or I want to accomplish this thing. What question can I ask to get to the right place? I'm feeling like these other people are more successful than me. What questions can I ask to get to the right place? I want a mentor and I don't have one. What questions can I ask to get to the right place? Whatever it is, if you ask the right questions, you can get to the right place. The second thing that I feel is super important is I really do challenge everybody to take on a meditation practice. If you can just sit, even if your meditation doesn't seem like a thing you want to do, it could just be taking time away to not think about anything and just to get in the groove of things. And if you're not into that, cool. Just find one thing that you'll do every single day for 60 seconds and just do that one thing for 60 seconds. That self-love, that self-care, whatever that looks like for you. And then the third thing is I actually want to offer people something. I'd like to give away my phone number and offer people the ability to text me. I have a text messaging platform. And if anybody texts me either, the podcast name or Johnny's name, then I'll give you a free coaching session. I won't try to sell you anything on it whatsoever. It's not a sales funnel that I'm putting you through. It's that I genuinely want to help. When the coronavirus started, I sat down with my partner, Rara, and we talked and we said, how can I help people when I don't feel comfortable charging them money right now? I have YouTube ads running, sending them to my online course, Dream University, sending people to, my different programs. And I wanted to pause those because I didn't feel comfortable when people were losing money and losing their jobs. And so we sat down and we brainstormed and we asked the right questions and I meditated about it. And we decided that what we're going to do is that I was going to create a text messaging platform, a phone number that people could text me at, and that I was going to help people for free. So I do Zoom calls, and I did 7 a week for a few months. I did about 70 total, and I stopped doing that because I thought, my business is, now things are lifting a little bit, and it's time to, really get back in the groove of things. But for anyone that is listening to this podcast, if you just text me, my phone number is area code 310-807-1998. And if you text that phone number, I can help you with anything. And the way that I want you to think about it is this. Yes, what I do is help people plan, fund, and build their dream businesses. So if you have a thing that you want to do, whether that's, whether you know what that is, or if you have no clue what that is and you need help figuring that out, then I can help you figure out what that thing is. I have a process, like I said, that's called the Dream Life Planning process. Then also I can help you get funded, whether that's joining the 3-day-a-week club like we talked about, or actually getting a grant funding from a private investor or a crowd investment platform, so that you can have 1 to 3 years of runway to basically figure out what you want to do and take time to figure it out and get to the point where you're making money at it, so you don't have to struggle through the process like I did and like so many of us did, and then actually building that business. I help people do that. But also, I love helping people. So the way I think of it is, if you're feeling sad, text Nathan. If you're feeling like you need clarity, text Nathan. If you're feeling like getting nerdy and talking strategy, then text Nathan, right? So no matter what, just text me, 310-807-1998. And that's my way to just give back and help people. Also, all my programs, I just want to let everybody know, I take no profit from this. I have other sources of income. So if you ever end up going to my website or seeing anything that's for sale, I take no profit at the time of this recording. It all goes back to telling more people about it, because this is just a labor of love and something that I really love to do and want to help people. So yeah, number 1 is just asking the right questions. Number 2 is finding a practice that you can do every single day, even if it starts at 30 seconds, run to the mailbox and back, so to speak. And then the third is text me and let's connect.
Thank you very much, Nathan. Man, very, 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 very valuable. Now, for those people who are listening and they want to work with you, what are the things that you would be able to who would be your perfect coaching client? And then how can people find you on social media and all that as well?
Yeah. So my website is nathen.tv. I spell my name a little differently. It's Nathen, Nathen.tv.
Yeah, that's the first one I've seen with E, I must say.
It has pros and cons to it. If you type it in right, I'll be the only one that comes up. But if you type it in wrong, then good luck for me. But so Nathen.tv. I also do coach people. The thing is, for me, is I like to have at least a 3-month relationship with someone before I coach anyone. Like I said, I have other sources of income. This is not my thing that I do to make my main source of income. So it's genuinely and truthfully coaching people who I really, really believe in and who I've been talking to for a long period of time. But I am playing with this new thing, which is a group coaching thing where I go live, once or twice a month and just teach people things and have a community where I'm connecting people. Cause I love to do that. I don't like the idea of just helping someone by saying, I'm the expert and here's what to do. I do like to ask really good questions, but I also like to connect people with other people who can help them. The other day I had someone that I was coaching and she was trying to save some property that she owned. And so I hooked her up with my friend Lee Escobar, a multimillionaire real estate guy, used to work for Rich Dad, Poor Dad, now works for these other companies. It's just how can I connect you with the right people? How can I help you? And so I'm messing around with something right now. It's a different website. It's coachmenathen.com, and you can spell Nathan however you want. I got all the domains. So there's nathen.tv. That's an online course called Dream University that helps you plan, fund, and build your dream business. And then there's coachmenathen.com, which is the coaching stuff that I'm playing around with. I do offer free coaching, and then I have some different options that I'm playing around with right now. But my main goal is to really build trust with people, because I'm in this for the long term. I'm not, in it for short-term profit whatsoever. It's like, how can I be that person that you just know is there for you, that you can actually text, that you can actually connect with? So the main way to reach out to me is the text messaging platform. And I'll just do my best. Sometimes it'll take me a week to get back to people. Sometimes I'll get back in an hour, but I'm just here. I send voice messages, try to motivate you, remind you of what's important. Sometimes I send videos. Sometimes I, share other people's videos, but I'm just trying to do my best to connect with amazing people. And my little evil secret plan behind why I'm doing this all is because I want to meet the most amazing, beautiful, loving, caring, motivated, driven people in the world. So that's why I'm doing it.
Gotta love it. Thank you so much, Nathan. It's been such a pleasure having you on here on the Power of Your Voice podcast, man. Thank you so very much.
Thank you too, Johnny. I really appreciate it. And I want to let you know that what you're doing is truly special. And you telling your story about where you came from with your family and, your stuttering and all that, it really, really resonated with me. I got goosebumps, my eyes welled up, and you're doing amazing stuff. So I'm so honored to be, in the presence of you. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Johnny here. Thank you for listening to the Power of Your Voice podcast. I would absolutely love to get your feedback on this episode and how it impacted you. Reach out to me on Instagram by sending a direct message to username Voice Podcast. If someone in your life could benefit from this episode, share it with them, and check out thepowerofyourvoice.com to read blogs on each podcast episode and learn more about what was discussed. And please leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. This lets me know you find this show valuable, and thank you for listening.